Every time you watch Formula One, you're being lied to. Those legendary names, Ferrari, McLaren, Williams, they are ghosts. The families who built them are gone, quietly replaced by a hidden cartel of sovereign wealth funds and offshore billionaires. Today, we expose the faceless empires actually pulling the strings, the Maranello Mirage. To understand the scale of this deception, we have to start with the most sacred name in motorsport, Ferrari. For decades, the myth of the prancing horse has been sold to you as a bloodline dynasty. They want you to believe the spirit of Enzo Ferrari still fuels the operations at Maranello. But the truth is far more clinical. The Ferrari you watch on Sundays is a carefully managed, publicly traded corporate machine, while Piero Ferrari, Enzo's 80-year-old son, holds a mere 10% to keep the heritage narrative alive. The real power lies entirely elsewhere. A massive 67% of the company is controlled by public shareholders, institutional titans like BlackRock and Vanguard. The remaining 23% belongs to Exor, an investment monolith that also controls Fiat and the Juventus Football Club. If you've ever wondered why the Italian mass media rarely has a negative word to say about Ferrari's strategic disasters, it's not just national pride, it's because they share the exact same corporate overlords. Ferrari isn't just a racing team anymore, it's a highly protected asset in a diversified multinational portfolio, the Fractured Syndicate. If Ferrari is a protected financial asset, Mercedes is a fractured syndicate. When you see the silver star, you naturally assume the German automaker owns the operation outright. They don't. The entity known as the Mercedes F1 team is actually a complex alliance split among 4 key stakeholders. The Mercedes-Benz Group holds a piece. The cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike holds a piece. The petrochemical giant Ineos, owned by billionaire Jim Ratcliffe, holds another piece. And the final stakeholder, team principal Toto Wolff. This is a massive deviation from the traditional rules of the sport. Wolff isn't just an employee making strategy calls, he's a part owner of the machine. This rare mix of manufacturer, corporate and private leadership ownership means the Mercedes name above the door is little more than a highly lucrative branding exercise. The private cartel, but if you want to see true corporate ruthlessness, you have to look at the grid's apex predator, Red Bull. Unlike Mercedes or Ferrari, Red Bull doesn't answer to public shareholders or stock markets. They operate as a private, impenetrable fortress, but the power dynamic inside that fortress is cutthroat. Consider Christian Horner. He is the longest-serving team principal in Formula One and the architect of their modern dominance, yet he owns absolutely nothing, not a single bolt on the car. Despite the public perception, he is strictly an employee collecting a paycheck from the Uvidya and Mateschitz families, the reclusive billionaires who actually control the energy drink empire. And their power doesn't stop at one garage. They exert a cartel-like grip on the sport by outright owning a second team, the Visa Cash App, RB. While other manufacturers fight for a single vote in boardroom regulations, Red Bull commands 2. It's an enormous, unprecedented advantage, entirely controlled by people who rarely step foot inside the paddock, the sovereign states. The illusion of the name above the door gets even more complex when you look at McLaren. When you hear the name, you naturally think of the fierce independence and legacy built by Ron Dennis. But if you dig into the paperwork of the McLaren MasterCard F1 team today, the reality is a geopolitical mind-boggler. The McLaren Group is now majority-owned by the Mumtalakat Holdings Company, the sovereign wealth fund belonging directly to the Kingdom of Bahrain. The rest of the puzzle? A minority stake is held by CYVN Holdings, an investment vehicle based in and owned by Abu Dhabi. CYVN also happens to own 100% of the McLaren road car division, meaning the F1 operation and the automotive side are completely detached entities. Put simply, the iconic British racing team is no longer an independent, homegrown manufacturer. It is an incredibly fast, highly publicized asset, jointly bankrolled by 2 sovereign nations. The name brand Facade. Then we have Aston Martin, a name that practically bleeds James Bond and British heritage. But what if I told you the Aston Martin Formula One team is Aston Martin in name only? The actual racing outfit is owned by a holding company called AMR Holdings GP Limited. This is controlled by the U-Tree Consortium, led by billionaire Lawrence Stroll, with the American private equity firm Arctos Limited holding a minority stake. Crucially, this racing team is entirely separate from Aston Martin Lagonda, the actual road car company. The F1 operation merely licenses the name and that prestigious British racing green paint job. Stroll could have called it Paper Stroll Racing, and the fundamental corporate structure of the team would remain exactly the same. And with Honda now locked in as their new works partner, the lingering suspense in the paddock is whether the Japanese giant will soon demand their own slice of the ownership pie, the celebrity portfolio. Look at Alpine. On the surface, it feels like a standard manufacturer team backed by Renault. But in 2023, the boardroom doors swung open to a completely different kind of investor, Hollywood. Renault sold off 24% of the team to Otro Capital, a consortium loaded with high-profile celebrities and athletes, names like Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, and Rory McIlroy. Suddenly, Alpine became a celebrity-backed investment portfolio disguised as a racing team, and the landscape is constantly shifting. With rumours circulating that major paddock power brokers are interested in buying out that celebrity share, the ownership balance at Alpine is incredibly volatile. It proves just how financially attractive an F1 team has become to people who have never even touched a steering wheel. The legacy buyout. Then there's the tragedy of Williams. For decades, it was the absolute last bastion of true family ownership. Frank Williams and his daughter Claire bled for that team. But in 2020, the romance finally died. The family was forced out, selling 100% of the team to Doralton Capital, a ruthless American investment firm. Doralton could have completely rebranded the team. They could have sold the naming rights to the highest bidder, but they didn't keep the Williams name out of respect for history. They kept it because Williams is a highly marketable legacy brand that guarantees a better return on their investment. It is a calculated, profitable corporate takeover wearing a nostalgic mask. The shadow puppets. Even the newcomers are playing this exact same game. Take Audi's highly anticipated 2026 entry. While it is branded as an Audi Works team, it is entirely bankrolled by the massive Volkswagen Group, with a quiet, strategic minority stake held by the Qatar Investment Authority. The strings are being pulled from boardrooms in Wolfsburg and Doha. And what about Haas? It remains the only team with the actual owner's name on the building, but Gene Haas only survives by operating his team as a shadow extension of Ferrari, outsourcing development to keep costs at rock bottom. Now, with Toyota gradually increasing their involvement and circling like a shark, you have to wonder how long it will be before they buy him out entirely. The American illusion. And finally, we arrive at the newest addition to the grid, Cadillac. General Motors has spent a fortune plastering their branding everywhere, claiming a triumphant American entry into the sport. But read the fine print. General Motors and Cadillac do not own the Formula One team. The entire operation was bought and is entirely owned by TWG Global, a massive investment firm that also holds stakes in the LA Lakers and Dodgers. Cadillac is currently just the face of the operation. If the financial winds change tomorrow, that Cadillac logo could vanish instantly, replaced by whatever brand writes the next check. When you step back and look at the 2026 grid, a terrifying picture emerges. The days of the rogue billionaire or the passionate mechanic building a legacy are permanently gone. They have been replaced by sovereign wealth funds, private equity conglomerates, and marketing executives. Modern F1 teams are no longer racing outfits. They are aggressive financial weapons designed to multiply billions. So the next time you watch a car cross the finish line, ask yourself, are you actually cheering for a racing team? Or are you just cheering for a subsidiary in a billionaire's portfolio? Let me know which team's corporate takeover surprised you the most down in the comments. Drop a like and subscribe to the F1 channel for more deep dives into the hidden side of motorsport.